Squid Game Season 2 just came out and has already been a smash hit with audiences. And unlike a certain other movie, it's shown that sequels can be just as good as the original. If you're unfamiliar with Squid Game by now, you must be living under a rock. But the general plot is that 456 contestants compete in a series of life and death challenges in the hopes of winning 45 billion Korean won, the equivalent of about 31 million US dollars. The Korean entertainment industry has been open about their intentions to compete with Hollywood as the international leader of pop culture. Netflix has invested hundreds of millions into K-dramas backing this ambition. There have been a lot of good K-dramas over the years on Netflix, but none of them have quite reached the international sensation levels of Squid Game. And this begs the question, why? Why has a dystopian Netflix show about 450-600 people willingly risking their lives for millions of dollars become such a smash hit amongst younger audiences? Could it be because it's a reflection of people's real lives now? I read an interesting comment about Squid Game recently that I can't seem to find anymore, but it went something along the lines of, a lot of people today would actually participate in Squid Game if it existed in real life, meaning that a lot of people would willingly put their lives at risk if it meant potentially winning this life-changing amount of money. And when you think about it, it does make sense. With how bad the economy is now, how expensive everything has gotten, the sheer level of financial duress young people are under these days, it's driven nearly half of young men to experience suicidal thoughts on a regular basis. Now, if you're suicidal, that means the world has become such a dystopia that you're willing to end it just to get out of the pain. Even without the possibility of winning a life-changing amount of $30 million, nearly half of young people face this harsh reality. So if half of young people are willing to end it all anyways, is it really that big of a stretch of the imagination to assume they'd risk losing their lives for the chance at $30 million? I'd be willing to bet good money that if a real-life version of Squid Game existed, a lot of Gen Z and millennials would willingly participate. I mean, what about you? Would you rather continue this perpetual, endless cycle of wage, slaving away for pennies on the dollar while your rent doubles every few years? Or would you rather just say, fuck it, and risk your life for the chance at winning 30 million? What's the point of living longer if you're not even going to enjoy life? Let me know in the comments if you would risk your life to participate in a real-life Squid Game, if given the chance. One very important lesson I've learned as a semi-successful YouTuber is that in order to succeed at any type of content, whether it's big production Hollywood movies or YouTube vlogs filmed on your phone, is that at the end of the day, in order to go viral, you have to find an authentic connection with our audience. You can have the best production quality in the world, the best editing skills, the fanciest marketing and promotion. At the end of the day, if you can't build a connection with your audience, you're going to fail. Squid Game wasn't super well known before. It didn't have the backing of an insanely well-known production studio. I personally think it succeeded just because it perfectly captured the experience, the unbearable frustrations with the economy and job market that a lot of young people feel today. If you're watching this as a Zoomer or younger millennial, zillennial as they would call it, you may or may not remember a time when life was actually better. I'm 34 now, so I'm a middle-of-the-pack millennial. And I do vaguely remember growing up in the 90s and early 2000s when the economy was booming and life was totally the opposite of how it is now. Rent was only about $300 a month, and just about everyone could get a decent middle-class job. If you ever hear a 90s kid ranting about how great everything was growing up back then, this is what they're talking about. There's one thing I can unequivocally say, which is that there's no way Squid Game would have blown up and gotten any sort of traction in the 90s. People would have watched it and just laughed at how weird and nonsensical it would have been. Like, why put your life on the line to risk it all for this money when you can just easily get a decent job and make decent money? I mean, I'm not saying every job paid $30 million back then, of course, but the risk to reward ratio just wouldn't have been worth it. Fast forward to today, and the risk has significantly diminished. How much do you really have to lose by putting your life on the line when the dystopian state of the world and society has pushed you towards suicide anyways? At least by participating in a hypothetical real-life Squid Game, you give yourself a chance to make millions of dollars, instead of just dying essentially for free. I know that sounded really bad, but as I was writing this script, I realized that there really isn't a great way to phrase it. The other element of Squid Game that bears a shocking resemblance to the modern Gen Z real-life experience is just how unhinged competition has gotten now. There are 456 contestants, and only one guy wins in the end. Everyone else dies, which is why the prize money is so high. This really feels like how competitive everything has gotten in real life now, from the economy to the rental market to the job market. I made a video a while back about a girl who applied over 700 times and still couldn't get a job. I thought a lot of people would say that this story was an exaggeration and that things weren't really this bad, but in fact it was the opposite. People poured in saying that 700 was lightweight, that they've applied to 1,000, 1,200, even 1,500 jobs and still couldn't get one. Here's a Reddit story I found of a guy with over 15 years of experience in tech who applied for over 1,200 jobs and still couldn't get one. He's about to run out of unemployment now and is in a really rough spot. It's really a modern-day life-or-death gladiator fight where only one person wins and everyone else dies. In fact, when you look at some of the numbers and stories you see in real life today, it's honestly even worse than Squid Game. Squid Game had 456 contestants, and winning actually meant something, as you'd win a staggering $30 million, an actual life-changing sum of money. In modern-day real life for Gen Z, you compete against way more people than that somehow. And the winner gets rewarded with a dog-shit $12 an hour wage in this insane economy, where rent is $2,000 a month. When you look at it from this perspective, I actually think there's a serious case to be made that the real-life Gen Z lives in every day is even worse than the sci-fi fictional Squid Game dystopia. At least you actually win something significant if you win Squid Game. In the modern world and economy, even if you win, you still lose. Even if you win, your reward is a soulless 9-to-5 job with an asshole boomer boss that doesn't pay you jack shit anyways. Instead of competing for $30 million of life-changing money, you're competing for a bullshit 3% raise while your rent skyrockets by 100% or more. With these insanely long odds competing for rewards that are such a pathetic joke, it's no wonder Gen Z is deciding they'd rather just not play society's rigged game at all. Ironically enough, these so-called losers who have checked out might actually be the biggest winners in the world today. We go more in depth about this in this video right here, so check it out to learn more. I'll see you there.